Okay, so today's question is an interesting one because I'm not sure how I'm going to answer this, but I'm guessing that
Uh-oh.
once you and I get talking, we'll have a clearer idea of what we're thinking about here. But the question is this: how does one find a kinky family? I would really love to break into the lifestyle.
Hmm. How does one find a kinky family and they want to break into the lifestyle? This is one of those situations where, as I listen to the question, my first thought is I have some questions. Like I want a bunch of clarification. This is you know, like I wish there was a way to, I mean, I'm sure this is like anonymous, but if there's a way to reach out and say, hey, I don't want to out you or anything, but I would love to know what you're thinking when you're saying this, because it's a little vague for me. Like, what do you mean by a kinky family? Um,
Mm-hmm.
because last I checked, and I could be wrong, maybe you'll know, Nuki, you don't have to have a kinky family to get into the kink lifestyle. Um, that being said, when you say I'd really like to break into this lifestyle, what lifestyle is it that you're thinking about that you need to be a kinky family? I mean, there are leather families, and leather and kink are a little bit different. I know
Yeah.
they tend to be conflated, but there's leather and there's kink, and those aren't the same thing. Um, and like by finding a family, what do you mean, questioner? Do you mean like how do I find where kinky people are? Do you feel like you have to specifically belong to a family? Are you looking for a particular type of play and you want to be in some sort of like connection relationship with these people, or do you just want to go to a place where kinky people have fun and join in on the party? So it's I know it seems lame to, or rather feels like a shortcoming to say I have questions in answer to your question. Not good to answer a question with a question, but I'm really curious as to what you mean by that. Like, how do you find a kinky family? That being said, if you're looking for kinky people, go where kinky people go. You can find them there. How do you find a family? I'm not sure about. Like, is it trying to become a part of a family? I would usually recommend just kind of being yourself and making connections with people, and if they are kinky people, make connections with the people who are kinky. And then if they want you to join in their reindeer games, and that's cool, and then go from there. But it's not required to be part of a kinky family to get into kink. I mean, or there's also the option of starting your own kink family. You can be a family of one and do the kinky things, and then again, make human connections and find ways to be kinky with kinky people. So, yeah, I would really love to be able to clarify a couple of things on this one. Your
See,
thoughts,
I
Nikki?
feel in response to this and listening to you, I immediately feel very like Instagram girl and like find your kinky tribe and love them hard. Right? Like, and so that's where I'm going to go with this is, yeah, finding a kinky family, find your kinky tribe. How do I find my people? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That I think is the thing. Like, how do I find the people who feel so close to me
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like they're family? And that I think it's still a really big question. Because I mean, especially right now during the pandemic, going where kinky people are not so much an option in a lot of ways, right?
Right. Yeah.
So unless you're talking virtually and coming to events like this where we do these things, or the events that we hold at Dating Kinky for the education, going to Dating Kinky obviously to meet kinky people who might be interested in dating seems like
Mm-hmm.
a shoe in. Obviously FetLife is our kinky Facebook,
Right.
although and Zach, I don't know how you feel about this, or I don't even know how long you've been on FetLife, but for some people, they find FetLife really difficult to break into,
Mm-hmm.
like because the people there already have their friends and family, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel like it's hard to break into those existing cliques or
Mm-hmm.
friendships or whatever. So maybe some thoughts on once they find the places to go, like FetLife, like Kinky, like even Facebook groups that are related to this sort of topic.
Mm-hmm.
how do they find the people that they really connect with, or, once the pandemic is over, going to a munch? And I think my first answer to that, my first step would be, you have to actually engage. You can't just lurk on a site, lurk around, and then every once in a while come out with, your genitalia in hand and say, hey, does anybody want to kink with me? You have to actually get to know people in the same way that you would if you wanted to meet somebody to go out to the movies and dinner with. You have to engage with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like anything else, this is why I would love to talk to this person directly. When I sometimes hear people saying, hey, how do I get into this? How do I get into that? One of the things I want to tell them is, or rather ask them again, because asking a question to answer a question is, what is it that you're looking for? It really helps if you know what it is you are interested in or looking for before you go in. Because just saying, I want to get into this lifestyle, it's like, great, what part of it appeals to you? That'll help you find out who you should be connecting with. Not necessarily looking for a family or for kinksters or whatever, because there are so many different aspects to kink. And, you may bump into a bunch of people that are heavy into impact play, and that's not your thing. You may find people that are heavy into rope, and maybe that's your thing. But if you're looking for somebody that does fire play and you end up hanging out with the rope people, you're not going to find your tribe, your family, as you were saying. So, as usual, it requires you knowing yourself a little bit. And if you don't know, that's why you got to go to munches. That's why you got to go to events. You got to kind of find out the things. Go see the demos, see what interests you, find out what's intriguing. The other thing is that there's no way to do it without being uncomfortable. And I understand, because I myself am a natural introvert, and meeting people and shyness, I get it. It sucks, but you never do anything new from inside your comfort zone. You have to step out. It's going to be uncomfortable. At some point, you're going to have to engage with somebody you don't know. At some point, you're going to be the weird, awkward person saying, I've never done this before, or I've never seen this type of thing before. I usually try to recommend going with somebody if at all possible. Sometimes it's not. Some people are loners. I went to a couple of kink functions on my own before I really started to kind of connect to people. And when it comes to connecting to people, that's where authenticity comes in, because you can't go in pretending to be something that you're not and find an actual genuine connection, which again means you kind of have to know yourself, know what you're into. And it's okay to say, listen, I don't know any of this stuff. Tell me about this. It's okay to ask questions. Kinksters, many of them tend to love sharing the kinks that they enjoy and explaining why they enjoy them and doing demos and stuff, which is one of the cool things about the community, because everybody's been a clueless newbie at some point. I think it is far more harmful to show up to something you've never been at before, having in your mind a preconceived notion of what it is, because people do tend to get taken aback or surprised to learn that it really isn't all that. Or when people form something in their mind of what they think a DS relationship is or impact play scene, and not realizing, no, it really isn't just, holding somebody down and wailing on them with whatever they want. There's some knowledge you need to kind of get into and be aware and stuff like that. And just because you see somebody playing a submissive doesn't mean you have the right to touch that submissive regardless. So that's important too. I think there's a lot of knowing yourself and knowing what you're looking, or at least knowing yourself well enough to know what you think you might be looking for. And if you don't know, that's okay. Tell people you don't know, and before you know it, you'll start learning.
I also think it's important to engage with people that don't make your goodie bits tingle, because like you mentioned, and I agree with it in the context you said it. If you're looking to be flogged, hanging out with a bunch of rope people may not be exactly your shtick. However, hanging out with a bunch of rope people and making friends in the lifestyle, I can't stress enough how important like-minded people are, even if they're not into exactly the same thing you're into. My tribe is 5 strong, and we have a lot of varied interests, and they're still family, to me. We still enjoy a little bit of slap and tickle here and there, but when we came together, it was as human beings that felt a connection more than it was, hey, maybe you can scratch this fantasy itch I have. Yeah, for what that's worth.
Yeah. I mean, and if you're looking to learn from somebody, it helps if you're not trying to dive headfirst into their pants while learning. So that kind of, it just, because it tends to mess things, and I'm not saying you can't do that, but a lot
The
of people
visual
aren't able
is great.
I mean, a lot of people just aren't able to kind of, focus on that. But there's a certain humility to say, listen, I need to learn from somebody. I've been kinky for quite a long time, and I'm known by most of the people that know me in the kink world as someone who's a dom, and yet I have a skill that I want to learn. I'm working on learning rope. Well, one of the best rope people I know, who happens to live near my area, is a brilliant person in rope and rope rigging, but it also identifies as a submissive. So you have to come at it with a certain level of humility where, hey, I want to learn your rope skills, but yet I'm a dom and you're a submissive, and I'm going to this person and saying, hey, will you teach me? So there's a certain getting over yourself.
Not taking it too seriously.
Exactly. I mean, because ultimately this is all fun, and it's ultimately all play anyway. For some people act like they take it really seriously, and they, there's this rigor, and you have to learn this, and you have to be approved by the kink gods and whatnot. But ultimately, kink is a way that adults play, and you don't get very far walking around, furrowed brow all the time, trying to find something out. So, back to the original question, how do you find your family? You just go, and eventually they'll show up. Go be yourself, and eventually a family will kind of, I know it seems really simplistic, but that's how it works. I'm a firm believer that if you try hard enough to find something, you'll find something that looks like it, even if it's not what's right for you. Just go, be, do, and let things happen. That's that organic sort of development.
I have to say, as somebody who is recently raised to the exalted level of kink god, I take umbrage at your previous statement. But aside from that, I agree with everything that you said.
Yeah, I forgot. He paid the dues and is goddess of the East
I am
Coast.
Official kink god card holder.
Yeah. Did they give you like a scepter and a bedazzled robe and everything too, or?
Well, actually, it was a glass butt plug with a heart at the end of it. So
fantastic.
That's my scepter. Pet carries it for me every now and again.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm going to get an angry letter from the Council of Kink Gods and Goddesses here soon.
Well, you're not taking this seriously enough. Although, I do want to point out, I think that like everything we talk about, there's something to be said for both taking it seriously in the sense of, knowing who you are and putting effort into development. Mm-hmm. And then there's the not taking it so seriously in the sense that you are not, the uber dom of everyone, right?
Yeah.
So I joke that I've got a hair dominant, and that's, part of my tribe. She does my hair, right? She's my hair dominant, because I'm no good at that sort of thing. So I let her make those decisions. You realize that because you're a dominant in your relationships. You're not dominant to the world. Don't let that trip your ego up or anything like that. Just do.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you can take it seriously, by which, respect it because there's it's existed before you got there, but don't take yourself too seriously, because it is supposed to be fun. And if it stops being fun, that's a significant indicator or a red flag, and
if the people that you gather around you don't feel like family and they don't feel like fun, then you're gathering the wrong people. So
that's a good one too. Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah. Okay, I think we put that one to bed. So
cool. Go us.